Hello folks, day number 7 of Tinnitus Week and the very last tip that I have to give in these videos. And this is a slightly longer video because it's a slightly more in-depth tip that I have to give. And that's why my followers on TikTok and on Twitter, you won't get this full video, but I'll post it on YouTube if you want to watch it there. For my Instagram and my YouTube followers, this is the biggest piece of advice that I have to give. I think it's the most important piece of advice that I can share with people. Now, remember, I have no medical or scientific background whatsoever. I couldn't tell you anything about the mechanics of the ear or the science behind it, the biology behind it. But what I can say is that I've had tinnitus for 18 years. And during those 18 years, I've been through some profound struggles. And I've tried desperately to figure it out, figure a way around this, being a musician and just living a normal life. So that's the only qualification I have. But I feel passionately about sharing this knowledge, and I feel passionately about sharing this particular piece of information I'm about to share with you. I think there are 3 phases to tinnitus. Phase 1 is the initial onset, and with that comes fear, shock, regret, at least in my part, regret that I'd abused my ears so much, playing in bands, in loud music. I thought it was rock and roll to play loud. I wanted my amp to go to 11, loud on stage, loud in rehearsal. I wanted it loud all the time. And I wanted to connect to the music, and that meant not protecting my ears. There wasn't much information around at the time, so nobody talked about earplugs, so nobody wore them. So that's phase 1, and you get an immense feeling of loneliness because all of a sudden you're thrown into this new dimension, and you look around you and no one else has got tinnitus, and you're like, I'm the only one with tinnitus, what do I do? But I think when you get past the initial onset, I think you actually get to a form of habituation after a period of time, whatever it might be, weeks, months, years, I don't know, but you get to a period of habituation without even knowing maybe what habituation is, because life comes at you fast and you move on and you you go through the turbulence and then you carry on with your life. So that's phase 1. But then there is phase 2, and phase 2 is, I think, the absolute hardest part. It is so incredibly difficult once you hit phase 2. And phase 2 is you've had tinnitus for a number of years, X amount of time, months, years, whatever it is. In my case, it was 11 years. And I'd been living a normal life, recording albums, doing gigs, that sort of thing. And then I hit phase 2 and it hit me like a wall. And phase 2 is when all of a sudden your tinnitus gets much worse. You don't know why. It's just all of a sudden a spike happens and it throws your world upside down. When it happened to me, I was like, wow, this whole new dimension opened up. My tinnitus got incredibly loud and I didn't know what to do. And that's sort of where all my journey with researching and reaching out to other people started about 6 years ago, because I was desperate. Phase 2 is the hardest part. And anybody that's struggling with tinnitus, I think, is probably in phase 2, because you've gotten used to one level and all of a sudden it's got much, much worse. And it's scary, it's lonely. You go online, there's no cure, the people struggling, all this negativity being confirmed in your brain, and it's an incredibly lonely place. And I get emotional when I talk about it because I know just how difficult it is. But I want everybody to know that there is a phase 3. And it's just around the corner from phase 2. And it's what I call acceptance. Now, I want to be very clear what acceptance means, because I do not want to come anywhere near to what the ENTs used to tell us. Do you remember when we used to go to the ENTs and they used to go, even to this day, they go, yeah, you got tinnitus, tough luck. You remember when they used to say that to us? Because I sure as hell remember, because I remember exactly the day when I went to my ENT and I said, I'm a musician, I'm a professional musician with tinnitus. I was in a really bad place. I kept it together. I didn't go there crying or nothing, but I was really emotional inside. And I said to him, I know there's no cure, but can you give me any advice? I'm really, really struggling with my tinnitus right now, and I've got a whole bunch of gigs I need to do. And he just went, literally. So I don't want to come anywhere near that when I talk about acceptance. I don't want you to say that just accept it and get on with your life. That's not what I'm talking about, because that comes perilously close to what they used to say to us. What I'm saying is that there is a phase 3 where you don't attach emotion to your tinnitus anymore. You just sort of let go. It's like being on an ocean And the tinnitus is right by you, like a dog swimming with you, and you go, yeah, there it is, but you don't attach emotion because you're free floating. And it makes it immensely easier to have tinnitus, because tinnitus in reality is hungry. It's hungry for emotion, and it will get exactly the kind of emotion that you give it. So that's why I feel so passionate about sharing this information, because if you give it a lot of emotion, it will feed off a lot of emotion, and it will take a lot of emotion from you. It will feed off the stress, off the emotion that you give it. But when you get to phase 3, you let go. You loosen your shoulders and you let go, and it becomes part of you. It becomes part of you, like your elbow, like your knee, like your foot. It's just part of me. My tinnitus is very loud, but it's part of me. And I don't fight it. I just accept it. So we live together. I've made room for it in my head. Think of tinnitus like a jar of Marmite on the shelf in the cupboard. When you're not eating Marmite, it's still there. You just don't notice it. You don't go around thinking, when you're cleaning the house, when you're doing stuff, you're working, you don't go, oh, that jar of Marmite's still in the cupboard on the shelf. You only think about it when you open the cupboard, bring the Marmite out and put it on the toast. That's what acceptance is with tinnitus. It's there. It doesn't go away. It's still on the shelf in the cupboard. But it only has importance when I bring it out of the cupboard. And my tinnitus is really loud. I mean, I feel obliged to say that because I don't want people thinking that it's sort of, But you let go of emotion. You just let it be there. Like my eyebrows, like my face, it's just part of me. And I don't fight it. And even though it's hungry, I don't give it emotion, because if you feed it emotion, it will take emotion and it will keep you up at night. It will stress you, and it's always there, and you're constantly fighting it. Whereas if you just let go, it's a really interesting thing. It's like, with martial arts, they say when you see the masters that do martial arts, they say don't fight it, go with it. And when you go with it, you're harder to beat. Whereas when you're scared, you tighten up, and you don't want to be pulled, so you tighten up. Whereas if you just let go and you maneuver the move, you take their energy from them. It's the same with tinnitus. Just let go, relax, and don't fight it. And it won't have energy. It doesn't have energy because you're the one giving it energy. And I know it's hard to grasp. I know that there will be people watching this, and I know the desperation and the emotion that gets attached to the situation. I'm not trying to belittle this in any way. I really mean that. I've been in some pretty dark places. But that's why I feel passionately about sharing this information. You're the one giving your tinnitus emotion. So you have the power to stop giving it emotion. So when people tell me, have you habituated? Do you have spikes? I have spikes. I've had 2 of the worst spikes I've ever had in the last 12 to 16 months. But I'm not so emotionally engaged with the spikes. So when I go through them, it's like, okay, I got to go through the spike. Just like when you're driving and you got to go through a tunnel, you go, okay, now I got to go through this tunnel. But eventually, you're going to come out the other end of the tunnel. That's what spikes are like for me. So whether I've habituated, whether I'm going through a spike, it doesn't matter anymore, because even though I struggle to get through spikes, I'm not saying that I don't, because I do, but I still get through them because I've got less energy, less emotion invested in the spikes. So I just I go, okay, cool, I got to get through this one. And I just get through it. I just been through one. So when people talk to me about spikes, habituation, have you habituated? I'm just like, the real thing about what I do, the real secret, not secret because it sounds like I'm trying to sell something. The real truth that I'm trying to tell you is that there is acceptance. It's phase 3. It's easier to say than do. It's incredibly hard to achieve. It's very, very hard to achieve, and that's why you've got to be proactive, proactive, proactive. Proactive is the key word. You've got to be proactive. You've got to seek out information. You've got to avoid negative information. You've got to find tools that work for you. You've got to find your comfort tools. You've got to find what exercise you like doing. You've got to find the right sleeping patterns for you. You've got to find the right food for you. I can't tell you that. No one else can. And anybody else that is telling you that is because they can't. It's specific to your needs. So find out what works for you. Keep going forward. and keep going forward, knowing that there is a place called phase 3, which is acceptance. And when you get there, you're just chill. It doesn't go away. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm not trying to sell you any lies here. It doesn't go away. There is no magic pill that will take it away. But what will go away is your emotional investment in it. And if you're not giving it, if you're not giving it energy, it loses energy and it loses importance. Even though it doesn't go away, it's still there. It's not going to magically disappear. We're not there. And that's not what I'm trying to sell you. I'm not trying to sell you that. What I'm trying to say you is that enjoy your life. Do things you like. See the true size of all these tips I've been giving over the week. See the true size of things, how big they are compared to your tinnitus. Protect your ears. Protect your ears. Protect your ears. Be proactive. Find food that you like. Find exercise you like. Sleeping patterns. Try meditation. Try yoga. Try all these things. But one thing you must never stop doing is trying. Be proactive. Keep moving forward. And then, with time, you will get less emotionally involved with your tinnitus, and it will just be something like the Marmite on the shelf. Thanks for watching. I hope I didn't waffle on too much. I'll see you.